Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here for Deborah Kobylt Live. On the phone with me right now, calling me from Scottsdale, we've got Chad Brittian. Chad, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
I am thrilled to have you. Now, let's talk a little bit about who you are. Chad, you are CEO of NVS Design, and we'll get into that a little bit later on what that is and exactly what you do. But you have offices in Indianapolis. You're from Indiana, Beverly Hills, and most recently Chicago. So congratulations to you. It's a big success.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow, you are part of the Breaking Barriers Conference. It's a one-day conference going on in Scottsdale, and you're going to be moderating a panel, right? Tell me a little bit about that panel.
Yeah, that's correct. So we're actually going to be talking about some of the obstacles in the LGBTQ space from a business perspective. We've got some amazing panelists. Adam Bruska and Jeff Parsley from the No Hate campaign are actually two of the panelists. We've got a few representatives from Phoenix Pride, Ida Steele and Jericho Giolando. So we're going to have a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of just discussion as to what it means to be in the LGBTQ space for 2019 and the things that we need to do from an education standpoint so that we can continue to teach what's necessary for us to grow. Overall, there's still a lot of things that, even though it's 2019, unfortunately, that we need to discuss. And, you know, today being the anniversary of the Pulse shooting, nightclub shooting that happened a few years ago, I think now is more a time than ever, especially with all the Pride events and just things as a country that we're going through. I think now is the time to come together and just have this conversation.
Talk to me a little bit about this. This is a very important issue and something actually very close to my own heart. About you grew up in Indiana and you said it wasn't a particularly welcoming community because maybe they were just a little more sequestered. They didn't know different types of people, right? What was it like for you growing up there?
No, that's correct. So I grew up actually north of Indianapolis, about an hour north, in a really small town, Gas City, Indiana, Marion adjacent. And there weren't really a lot of known gay people when I was growing up. And my family's not overly religious, but religious enough that we went to church pretty much every Sunday. And that was just something that was not tolerated. So I didn't really have anyone to turn to. And I tried to lead what was considered a normal life at that time, and did all the things that you did in a small town coming from Indiana. Played sports, dated the cheerleader, did everything that I thought that I needed to do to be normal. But I didn't realize that I was normal and obviously born the way that I was supposed to have been. And I think that through opportunities in college and then after college, I really tried to embrace as much as I could to get myself out there to really learn about other cultures and just other people in general. And I think that's really helped me to grow and be comfortable with who I am. I've been fortunate enough that I've had a partner for about 10 years now, and he's really helped me to grow and expand and become the person I am today. So,
was your family very welcoming when you told them?
Not at all. And it was kind of an interesting situation. I actually came out to my mother on Mother's Day. It was not intended at all. We were at a restaurant and didn't go over so well. I think she had an inkling, for sure. I mean, parents always know, obviously, but she was definitely in denial, and it was definitely not well received. I was actually with my grandmother and mother when that happened. My grandmother was a little bit more understanding initially, but she didn't understand it. She said, "I'll always love you no matter what," but she didn't really understand it. And at that time, my partner was in my life, but they had seen him and I had pretty much represented him as a friend. And so that was a huge weight off of my shoulders to carry that for so long, and obviously even prior to being with him. And it was just something that I really needed to do. And it's so important that I speak my truth and I can share my story, because I know there's a lot of others out there that are like me and have gone through or are going through what I went through.
Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be talking about in the conference, because in particular, you're going to be talking about gay people in the workplace, right? And what companies can do
Correct.
And what individuals can do to sort of make it all comfortable for everybody.
Correct. Yes. So ultimately, we want to teach as much as we can and provide as much knowledge so that as many people that are interested in knowing the correct pronouns to use, the correct verbiage overall, how to address certain individuals in the community, that anything from an educational standpoint that we can potentially provide from anyone that wants to actually learn that they can spread that and get as many people to get on board with the movement of what is the LGBTQ movement. We're going to talk a lot about the correct things to do in a work environment, the challenges that we've all faced individually, coming out individually, our own stories of what that was like at our previous or existing employment. Just kind of getting a whole idea of what it is to be gay or transgender or bisexual in the workplace today. And obviously, coast to coast, it varies. It's still very much not accepted in the Midwest. I think that we're getting there. We actually just celebrated our Pride this past weekend. And I was really excited to see that our parade was about twice the length of what it normally is. So we're getting there. We're definitely making progress. But I think a lot of times in the larger cities, people get caught up in what's just going around in their bubble. And they think that that's just how it is across the United States. And unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think this is going to open up that discussion where there are things that aren't as comfortable to talk about. There are, certain things going on in our country that are very disheartening, and it's a scary time for a lot of those in the LGBTQ space. So we definitely want to really touch on those issues. We want to create a safe environment and provide as much knowledge as we can.
What is the number one thing that you really want people to know, an employer to know? Like, hey, because I grew up that we really are all the same, gay, straight, whatever. And it's just a matter of who you choose to love. And I really did grow up in that environment, and most people did not. So when I go into a workplace, I don't necessarily care who they want to date. Whoever they want to date is good. Are you trying to move it into that direction where people just look at people as they have partners, whether it's a man or a woman?
People are people. And at the end of the day, that's not something that usually affects most of the people that have that judgment. So if you need to pretend that, they're dating, with a friend, or, I know for a long time, and even still, I think my family kind of looks at my partner as my friend, but they're not around me. We don't show a lot of PDA. So, there's a place and time for all of that. But at the end of the day, I think it's ultimately just being educated and being respectful. Even outside of the gay community, I think that a lot of times we just don't have respect for each other. And I think now more than ever, that's something that needs to happen.
Tell me a little bit about your company, NVS Design. What do you do?
Yeah, so we are a full-service advertising and marketing agency. So we provide everything from website development to graphic design, programming, SEO. We are an actual Google SEO agency partner. We do social media, obviously. So pretty much anything that a business would need, small or large, from the ground up, we can handle. We are in 3 major markets. Did
I lose his connection?
And so I wanted to actually have a location. So Beverly Hills is a secondary home that we visit every once in a while, and obviously try to capture that market, being as different and so different from that of the Midwest. And then recently is Chicago. So that's another huge market, kind of bringing our roots back to where we started, and just coming a little bit full circle in some ways. Chicago is a great market for the ad space. It's obviously a large city, and that's definitely easy for me to get to as opposed to that long flight to LA, but love the trips out. And it's just such a different strategy that we've used to be successful in that workspace. And it's really interesting. We definitely really focus on the social media aspect on the West Coast, whereas that's not as prevalent in the Midwest. So
that's interesting.
It's interesting to see what works versus, on the West Coast as opposed to what works in the Midwest. Not saying that in the bigger markets that it's not as proficient overall, but it really is a staple for Los Angeles. And it's pretty crazy when we integrated this strategy, how successful it's been in such a short time.
Yeah, I mean, it's even confusing for me. I have good numbers. I have decent numbers on Instagram, really good on YouTube. And they say, you have to post every day. And it's sort of a confusing landscape. So I guess you sort of break it down for people, right? Here's what you should do. Here's what you need. Sometimes I think it's so much overkill. I don't even want to be out there every day. What do you say to that?
I agree 100%. And that's actually funny that you mentioned that. I just heard a podcast yesterday that kind of spoke to that specifically. And a lot of people don't realize, we're lucky that we get access to a lot of events because of what we do with a social media platform.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're still working. So when we go to these events, even though we get tickets that might be comped or get to go to cool opportunities, we have to do so much video. We have to do so much tagging. There's a lot that's involved in that. So it's not as much fun as it always looks. And it's no different than how they say in Hollywood. So everything is kind of smoke and mirrors. To some degree, Instagram and a lot of the advertising on Instagram is that same philosophy.
Well,
but it is working.
It's definitely effective. It's been effective for me. Instagram's been a great tool because a lot of people reach out to me, so it's been very helpful. But do you need it every day? That's my question. Like, do you have to go to those hashtag holidays, the Earth Day, which is wonderful, don't get me wrong, but there must be 10 or 20 Earth, hashtag holidays every day. And then you go and you post about it. It's like happy whatever day. Is that so necessary?
Right. I mean, if you want to be an influencer or be seen as a brand, then yes, you have to build a lifestyle perspective that people want to follow and people want to be a part of. At the end of the day, you're building your own company. So ultimately, if you don't share something that is interesting and something that people want, then you're not going to be able to curate that right target to actually make it beneficial in the long run.
I'm glad you said that because I pick my posts very carefully because I like to do stories and interview people with a true social conscience. I really do. There's always a bend in that direction, whether they're involved with theater or business or whatever. So I'm kind of glad you said that. That means I'm on the right track. So there you go. Talk to me more also. Next Saturday on the 22nd, you're going to be here in California. You're going to be participating in, or you're going to be working with, the Great Race in Riverside, which is hosted by the California Route 66 Museum. That's a lot of fun. If I'm here, I'd love to attend that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we are looking forward to it. So Haggerty Insurance is the main title sponsor, but we've got some amazing sponsors. Cracker Barrel is another large sponsor, Midway. So we're really excited for this event. We actually came on board a few months ago. We helped redesign their website. So if you want to check out their new website, you guys can go to route66.fun. That's actually a new marketing thing that we have implemented for them that's been pretty successful. But there's information on there on the Great Race, and it's pretty awesome. So it's all vintage vehicles. It's a race from Riverside, California to Tacoma, Washington.
Wow.
The actual car show is Saturday, too. So that's actually in Victorville, which is where Route 66 Museum is. And it's a 9-day, 2,300-mile adventure ending on June 30th. So it's pretty cool. There's over 120 cars from all over the world.
Wow.
And it's going to be pretty amazing. More than $150,000 in awards. So it's a pretty awesome event, to say the least. And we're definitely trying to get as many people out, not only for the race, but obviously to Victorville so they can check out Route 66 Museum and just kind of get a feel for automotive history and memorabilia and just be a part of something that's absolutely awesome. So I'm super excited. I'm very much into vintage cars. I'm actually restoring a 1957 Chevy. So I grew up around these cars my whole life, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart and a really cool opportunity for us to kind of circle back and be a part of this year.
Are you going to be driving in any of the cars, at least part of the way up?
I'm not. So
no.
I'm probably going to shed a little bit of a tear. I'm not actually in it. But I will be watching and be a part of the festivities. But my car, I actually just took to my restoration guy yesterday to get the final tweaks done on the engine and some exterior body parts that we're kind of finishing up for a national competition that we're going to be a part of in Bowling Green in August. So crazy.
Wow. So what does Mom think of all your success and of you and your partner and relationship now that time has sort of passed?
I've got to give her a lot of credit. She's really come around full circle. She's a wonderful human being and no different then, I mean, with this discussion tomorrow, and I think that's why it's so near and dear to my heart, is education. That's what we want to provide, as much education, answer as many questions, because a lot of people just don't know. And anytime there's a group portrayed in the media, it's always the extreme of that group. So I think a lot of times that we immediately go to that, and that's what it has to mean, or that's what it is, or that, and that's not the case at all. So I think when you surround yourself by those that maybe change those stereotypes, you start to have an appreciation for us as humans. Like I said before, we're all humans. But I'm really proud of her. She's come full circle. She actually came around really quick. Her boyfriend's daughter came out not long after I did as a lesbian. And her mother initially wanted to disown her. And she just broke down and cried, my mother. And she said, I just don't know how a parent could do that. And I kind of had to remind her that it wasn't that long before. She kind of made me feel that way. And so it put things in the perspective of, you know, I was born the way that I was, that, you know, she should always love me no matter what, that I would be her son. And not that I ever felt like she stopped loving me or didn't want me in her life, but there was a disconnect there that I was really proud of after that happened so quickly after I came out, that she, you know, really came around. And ever since then, she's been amazing. She's super supportive. She's actually been to the Pride Parade in Indianapolis.
Oh, that warms my heart. I'm so happy to hear that. That is so great. Wow.
So yeah, she's a great person, and ultimately it's been about education at the end of the day. And I'm really happy that I've been able to teach her and show her that, you know, it is okay, it is normal, and just because you weren't as familiar with what that meant growing up doesn't mean that you can't be. And ultimately, if you don't take the time to get to know and be proficient and have knowledge when it's handed to you, then that's kind of on you. But she's done everything that she can in her power to get up to speed on things, and she adores my partner. And it's really come full circle for us, and I'm very grateful for that.
And now you're going to be helping a lot of people tomorrow at this conference, at the Breaking Barriers business conference that you're going to be moderating, that panel. I really do. You're going to be opening the eyes of many people, you know, some business owners, people who are working side by side with their gay colleagues. And that's really a terrific thing. So before I let you go, are there any companies in particular that are very, very accepting to all genders that you would want to give a shout out to?
For sure. I mean, I definitely want to give solid props to Salesforce in Indianapolis, and they had a huge presence and always do at our Pride Parade. And so that was amazing to see, just the amount of people that come out and support. It's just a sea of blue, and they actually are the title sponsor for our Pride. And then Eli Lilly is another big one that always supports, and I know everyone's very familiar with Eli Lilly. So to know that those two big companies are in Indianapolis and that they are showing their support of the LGBTQ community is amazing. And it is changing for the better, for sure. But we still have to have the uncomfortable discussions. We still have to talk about the things that we're not as up to speed on, and we have to come together genuinely. And, you know, it's without that discussion, we're never going to move forward. And as long as people are willing to have those discussions, then we'll continue to, you know, get better and better. And I'm just so excited at the opportunity for this event tomorrow. It's the first time that Scottsdale's done a Queer Me Out event. This is their 5th overall for the W chain. And so I'm just really honored that they've chosen me to be a part of it. And it just comes from a special place because I did grow up in such a small town. Who would have thought that I would have the opportunity to speak on this level, and hopefully, you know, give some positivity back to others that, you know, were just like me. So I'm very excited.
I mean, you've been building this brick by brick, so I applaud you. I mean, you're a very successful man. You've worked with Discovery, Grey Goose, Red Bull. I mean, you've really done a lot, but, and you're right. Now here you are, and you have this opportunity to speak before so many people and enlighten a lot of people because you've lived it. So congratulations to you. How can people get in touch with you if they want you to do work with them, or they want to hear more about the conference? Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Chad Brittian, Brittian. And then our agency page is NVS Design, and it's N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, S is in Sam. Always want to get that out, so make sure you guys follow the right page. If you guys go online to the W Resorts hotel page for Scottsdale, there's information on the actual event tomorrow. We are almost sold out. There's only, I think, about 25 tickets left. So we are expecting full house,
Wow.
but it's going to be an amazing evening. There's cocktails, there's food available, and it's just going to be a really nice evening to sit down, have a discussion that's much needed, and just, you know, try to provide as much knowledge as we can to those that are willing to listen. And it should be a lot of fun. We're all really excited for tomorrow.
And hopefully we'll be able to watch it on YouTube for those people who can't get out to Scottsdale. I'm sure that we'll be able to find a link, right? Hopefully.
We will have access. So we're going to do streaming. So there will be streaming on Instagram. If you want to follow the W Scottsdale's page, there will be streaming there of the event if you can't attend. And then we will have access to video afterwards too. So there will be opportunities to see it if you guys can't make it out.
Wonderful. And let's not forget on the 22nd of this month out in Victorville at the Route 66 Museum, you're going to be out there for that as well. So you want to give a quick shout out to how people can find that?
Yes. So all the information is on the website. So if you go to route66.fun, that has all the information on the vehicles, the time, start place, address.
Cool.
And then there's also contact information on there, so you can find out more information that way too.
Chad Brittian, I really appreciate you being on with us. I learned a lot from you just talking to you this brief time, and you deserve all the success that you have. So thank you for all you do. And we'll chat again, I hope.
I hope so too, and I really appreciate you having me on today and letting me talk about some of the things we've got going on with the agency and obviously with tomorrow's event, because it's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, and I hope to see you next week out in Victorville too. So again, thanks for joining us for Deborah Kobylt Live, and everybody, you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and for those of you who listen to your podcasts, we're on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, Spreaker, and just about anywhere else you find, listen to, and watch your podcast. Thank you very much for tuning into Deborah Kobylt Live, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.